We are now recording. And then at the end of the session, we're going to have a open question and answer session. So whether it's on this particular topic or any other topic, be happy to cover that, any questions that you have at the end. But topic of today's discussion, and again, let me welcome myself, welcome all of you, introduce myself if you're new. I know we have a bunch of some current students. We have some former students that are already out there working as freight agents and freight brokers. And there may be some people that have not been involved with Freight Brokers Academy yet. So I'm Tony DeCreasy. I'm the founder of Freight Brokers Academy. We've been teaching, training freight agents and freight brokers for over 8 years now. I formerly was a co-owner of a trucking business. I manage a fleet of dump trucks. I manage a fleet of over-the-road flatbeds, dry vans, refrigerated trucks, hauling freight all over the country. And I started a freight brokers business from scratch, built it up, hired, trained freight agents underneath me, and did that for several years until someone made me an offer I could not refuse, and I let them buy the business from me. But I've been working with freight agents and freight brokers ever since. The topic of today's discussion: how do I get started as a freight agent with no experience? You know, how to take what you learn in Freight Brokers Academy and apply it to becoming a successful freight agent. So let's get started. And one of the questions is, and occasionally this is a transition, some people are good at being students and learning things, but how do you apply these? How do you get started in the business? How do you approach a freight broker or a freight brokerage firm for a position as a freight agent? That's what you need to do to get started. If you're not going to have your own license and bond, you have to work underneath a licensed and bonded freight brokerage company. So what do you do? How do you approach them? Well, I think first of all, try and make it easy on yourself. Approach freight brokers who are actively recruiting new agents. And at any given time, there are hundreds of brokerage firms scattered all over the country that are always looking for new freight agents, literally. And right now, demand is high. Like every other industry, you guys have probably heard about it, read articles, seen it on the TV. There are more companies looking for people than there are people looking for jobs. And it works the same way in the freight brokerage business. Demand for good people is high, and it's not easy. And the really good, talented people, even inexperienced new people, are hard to come by. So there is opportunity out there if you're looking in the right places. So where do you find freight brokers? Very simply, there are recruiting services that freight brokerage companies will pay to put advertisements out there and let people know that they're looking for jobs, like Indeed, Monster.com, ZipRecruiter.com. So you can always check out those sites. And if you're someone looking for a job at those services are usually free. The companies that are looking for people to hire, they have to pay to put an ad in those services. But if you're looking for a job, it doesn't cost anything for you to participate. You might have to sign up, get a log on, get an account, but it's typically no cost to you. So check out those things for sure. Google is a wonderful thing these days. Freight agents wanted, freight agent positions. You could just type that in, and I guarantee you're going to have some advertisements pop up for freight brokerage firms looking for agents. Craigslist, another free service. Some companies out there don't like to spend a lot of money. Craigslist is relatively inexpensive to advertise. And you may have thought Craigslist was just to buy things, but there are some classifieds in there, and you can actually post a job. And a lot of people do use Craigslist as an inexpensive way to let people know that they're hiring. So you can check out Craigslist. Local newspapers. Not many people, especially the younger generation, read local newspapers anymore. But even if you're not reading a newspaper, the paper version of it, they have online classifieds. And you might say, well, I don't live in a big area. There's probably nothing in my local newspaper, but you don't have to just focus on yours. If I was looking for a job, any kind of a job in any kind of an industry, I would go to some of the biggest newspapers in the country. The Los Angeles Times, the New York Times, the Chicago Tribune, the Miami Herald, the Atlanta Constitution, whatever. I would pick 5, 6, 7, 10 of the biggest metropolitan areas, find out what the biggest main newspaper is there, and go to their online classifieds. Because a local company advertising in the freight brokerage business, even if they used to have an office where freight agents came to work, chances are after COVID, they probably have most of their staff working remotely. And freight brokerage is one of the industries that even before COVID, most people worked from home. The minority has always been where someone came to an office and did the job of a freight broker or a freight agent. So check out online classifieds for newspapers, some of the biggest metropolitan areas in the country. You'll find companies advertising for freight agents. And then, of course, us, Freight Brokers Academy. In Module 7, we always post once a month. We usually update it. We'll go out and we'll try and find some of the companies that are advertising that they're willing to hire new freight agents without experience. And we also maintain contact with some companies that have hired our students in the past and are willing to hire someone who has a certificate of completion from Freight Brokers Academy. Some of those companies are even people that once went through our training program. We actually have 1 or 2 of those on the session today. So if you're having any challenges or you just want to check out all the different opportunities, touch base with me, and we'll be happy to reach out to any of the companies that we've dealt with in the past who we know are willing to hire our graduates, and we'll do our best to arrange for a personal introduction, and then you take it from there. So there are plenty of places to find freight brokerage firms. Now, how do you approach the freight broker for a position as a freight agent? Well, again, focus on the ones that don't require any previous experience. And there are always dozens of those looking for new freight agents at any given time. But guess what? You're in luck, because right now, every licensed and bonded freight broker in the entire company, in the entire country that has freight agents working for them is hiring. Hard to believe, right? But every single freight brokerage firm in the country that already has freight agents working for them is willing to hire you. Even if you're brand new and you have no experience or no book of business. And that's the big question. Under what circumstances might any freight broker be willing to hire you, even with no experience or no clients? And now I'd like you to unmute yourself. I want some feedback. I mean, that's a pretty outlandish statement I may have just made. What do you think? Under what circumstances might a company that typically might not hire inexperienced or brand new agents be willing to hire you right now?
Because I understand the gist of the job, or
Okay.
goal oriented, stuff like that.
Okay, because somehow you communicate to them that you actually understand what's going on. You got a clue. Okay, good. Any other feedback? Why might a freight brokerage firm be willing to hire you, brand spanking new, no experience, never moved one single load in your life?
Well, if I'm a brokerage firm and let's say hire you on just a commission-based kind of salary, you only get paid when I would be willing to hire someone like that, because I don't have to pay that person unless that person is bringing in some kind of revenue to the business.
That's a pretty doggone good point, and that's a big thing. What you could simply say, hey, what do you got to lose? I'm on straight commission. If I don't produce anything, you don't pay me anything. I mean, that's a big deal. Now, if they were going to guarantee you a salary or an hourly wage or something, they'd be more at risk.
Mm-hmm.
But I believe that virtually any freight brokerage firm that already has freight agents. Now, there may be some independent brokers out there that don't want anyone working for them. They don't care. They don't want the extra paperwork. They don't want the responsibility. So I'm talking a freight brokerage firm that already has at least 1 or 2 freight agents. If they hired one, they might be willing to hire others. And I believe in my heart, because I've had my own firm and I've hired inexperienced people, and I know what the process is. That if you're willing to hire people, period, you'll hire inexperienced people if they have certain qualities. So everyone go ahead and remute themselves. We're going to move forward. And so we get that background noise done. And let's talk about when somebody would be willing to hire you, even without experience or clients. And I think one of the things is they think you're not going to take up more time than you're worth. You know, it does take time, and time has value. Time is money. You've heard that, right? And once you lose it, you can't make up for it. It's gone. So they got to believe that you're worth the time and effort, because it's going to take some time to hire a new, inexperienced person. Even if you've gone through a great training program like ours, there's still things to learn about how things work in that organization, how their logistics software works, how it interacts with whatever load board they're using, what their process is, their paperwork, their procedures, plus coaching you. It's one thing to learn about it in a training program. It's another thing to do it. So there's always little nuances that somebody with experience is going to have to take the time to walk you through. So they got to believe that the time that they're going to have to invest in a new person is going to be worth it. And I also think that you have to convey, they have to believe that you have at least a good understanding of the very basics of the business, and that you have an understanding of what it takes to be successful as a freight agent. Again, if they don't believe that you understand the basics, or that you have the qualities or know what it takes to be successful as a freight agent, they're probably not going to hire you. And they might not do that even if you had experience. They got to believe that you're motivated and self-disciplined, because you can teach somebody, you can give them information, you could even give them an account to work. And many of the companies we work with that hire freight agents will give you an account to start working with, but they're not going to do that if they don't think you're a motivated, self-disciplined individual, because they don't want to give you one of their clients to work with and not be able to maximize the opportunity for that, more so than somebody else might be willing to. Especially when you're working from home, they can't kick you in the butt and get you out of bed every day. They're not going to be standing over your shoulders. You dial the phone every day. So somewhere along the line, you've got to be able to convey and convince someone that you are motivated and you are self-disciplined, because those are key things it takes to be successful as a freight agent, irregardless of experience, irregardless of whether you have any clients or not. You know, you got to understand the process of moving a load, the basics, like what we teach. We got videos, we got step-by-step processes. So that's something that you can learn without actually doing it. You can understand the basic procedures. And a lot of brokers don't want to teach you that, don't want to go through the very basics. And that's why programs like ours are so important, to help you get the basic foundation of how this industry works and how the job of the freight agent works. And then I think you got to convey that you understand how to approach shippers and carriers, how to determine if they're good potential customers or not. You have to understand some basic sales type of things. You know, if I'm hiring someone, I kind of want them to sell me, because I'm a potential shipper, I'm a potential trucker. So I'm kind of evaluating their approach as I'm interviewing them. Is this someone that if I was a shipper or I was the owner of a trucking company, that I'd feel comfortable doing business with? So I really think the ability to understand what you're looking for in terms of shippers and truckers or potential clients is important before you start talking to freight brokerage companies and trying to convince them they should give you a shot as a freight agent. Basically, they got to think that you'd be a profitable addition to their team. Whatever time and effort and resources they're going to invest in you is going to be a good return on their investment of time, effort, and resources. If you can convince someone you're a good investment, that they're going to gain way more by hiring you than they're going to lose, then you got a shot at getting hired. Kind of similar to when you're contacting shippers and carriers as a freight agent, that it makes sense that they should look at you as a resource, a valuable resource. So why don't all freight brokerage firms hire inexperienced freight agents? Well, number one, they think it takes too much time to train someone from scratch, and time is money. Maybe they've gone that route before and they just found that it wasn't as beneficial. So many of them in the past were willing to try anybody. And over time, they had so many new people with no experience didn't work out that they decided, forget it. This is too much time and too much aggravation. I'm not going to do it anymore. Now, does that mean they won't do it ever anymore? No, but they may only actively look to recruit experienced people because they know that at least they made it through the basic stages. They know they want to be in the business. They've been in the business a year or two or three or four. They got a track record. Simpler, easier. You know, takes a lot of time. Less time, they can devote their time elsewhere. And no one likes wasting their time. Frankly, some people aren't worth taking the time with. And that's not about your self-worth. Everybody here on the call, everybody is a valuable person as a human being. It's all about business. It's about return on investment. And people that are looking to recruit, hire freight agents for their team, they ought to make an educated guess about you and whether or not the time spent teaching you versus teaching somebody else, or just plain off working directly with the prospects themselves and not even hire an agent, makes sense. So it's all about return on investment. Does the time and effort I might put into you as a brand new freight agent with no experience, no customer base, is it going to make sense to invest that time and effort versus the time and effort I could put somewhere else or with somebody else? And flat out, why don't all freight brokerage firms hire inexperienced freight agents? Because number one, not everyone's teachable. Not everyone's self-disciplined. Not everyone has the same level of motivation, and it's tough. It's difficult to determine in a conversation over the phone, in an email exchange, in an interview, if someone's really teachable, if someone's really self-disciplined. You know, someone could say, I'm a hard worker. I'll do what it takes. Well, it's easy to say that. It's another thing to do it. And many people, many owners and managers have been burned because, you know, when you're in a job interview, what is your goal? You're going to say whatever you think the person interviewing you wants to hear to get the job. Yeah, I'm the right person for the job. I'm exactly what you're looking for. It's another thing to be able to deliver on that. And again, most owners of freight brokerage firms, most managers, you know, have had those situations where they thought they had somebody who was going to be reliable and disciplined and motivated and end up being a good producer and a good team member, and didn't. They didn't say what they didn't do what they said they were going to do. They didn't follow the program. You know, we have people that go through our program, do very well, seem like and then they go out in the world, they don't actually put it to use. I got news for you. Not everybody that graduates from Freight Brokers Academy is successful in the freight brokerage business. Why? Well, maybe they didn't actually apply. They didn't really use what we teach. They didn't follow the basics. They weren't self-disciplined. They didn't put the time in. They didn't make enough calls. They just plain weren't motivated enough. We can't control that. And most freight brokerage firms, those are things they can't control either. And that's a difficult thing to determine. Is somebody really self-disciplined? Do they really have the level of motivation? And are they going to use what they learn, or what a freight brokerage firm tries to teach? And that's why it's so challenging sometimes to get a freight brokerage firm to hire you as a brand new freight agent with no experience. So How do you convince a freight broker that you are someone that they should take a shot on and invest their valuable time into? Well, when you actually get a chance to talk to them, whether they're a recruiter, a manager, an owner, I think certain key phrases, comments may communicate to them that even though you don't have previous experience working as a freight agent, that you actually do understand what it takes to be successful in this business, and that you are motivated to do whatever it takes. And that's really the key. Nobody knows for sure if you're going to be successful. Nobody knows if you're going to be a top producer. Nobody knows how hard you're going to work, but you got to try and communicate to the person you're looking to get a job from, to give you the confidence that they'll give you a load to try and find a truck for as a freight agent, or the confidence to say, okay, I'll give you a shot. You say you can get me a good paying load. Okay. Next time you get a good paying one, give me a call, send me an email. I'll give you a shot. So do you really understand what it takes to be successful? And are you really motivated to do whatever it takes? And can you convey that? Can you try and convince someone that you are the right kind of person? They should put their trust in you, give you a shot. So I think saying some things like, hey, I'm not looking for any guarantees. I'm just looking for an opportunity to prove myself with an organization that'll pay me in fair proportion to the results I produce. Straight commission. I know I don't make a dime if I don't produce results. Give me a shot. Or, hey, I can't guarantee how quick it's going to happen, but I can guarantee you one thing, that I'm going to make as many calls as I can each and every day until I become a top producing freight agent for you, if you give me a shot. What do you say? Now, if I'm a hiring manager or an owner for a freight brokerage firm, those are the type of things I want to hear that may give me some confidence that this is a freight agent that might want working for me, might have a shot to be successful, even though they're not experienced. Those things convey that I think maybe this person does have some motivation. Maybe they have some self-discipline. They obviously at least understand what it takes to be successful. They know that it's the law of averages. You got to make a bunch of calls. Even someone that's not real talented or real smooth talking, if you make enough contacts, you're going to get some loads every once in a while. So if they at least understand that, maybe I'll give them a shot. See, very simply, you apply the same principles we teach at Freight Brokers Academy when it comes to developing shipper and carrier accounts as a freight agent to the task of being hired by a freight brokerage firm. Get the law of averages in your favor. Contact as many freight brokerage companies as you can every day. When you're done with the training, you go out and you identify as many potential freight brokerage companies that are out there, and you contact as many as possible. Obviously, find the ones that currently are employing freight agents, or they're advertising that they're willing to hire freight agents. If they currently employ freight agents, you can ask them a simple question like, hey, if you found out that there was a potentially awesome and highly productive new freight agent looking for a place to work, would you want to talk to them? Yeah, sure. Well, if they say yes, hey, you're in luck because it's me, and that may sound a little hokey. And you may say, well, I don't know if I have the confidence to do or say something like that, because I really don't know what I'm doing. I mean, I took your training course, I got these pieces of, I know what to say or what I'm supposed to say. I've never really done it. How can I do or say something like that? But early on in my training days, when I was selling other products and services, someone taught me, hey, you got to act enthusiastic to be enthusiastic. You got to act confident, even before maybe you actually have the confidence. And we used to do stuff like look ourselves in the mirror and smile before we started work every day. And you know what? Even if you weren't like motivated or happy or enthusiastic, it's hard to look at yourself in the mirror and smile, big grin, for more than like 10 seconds and not feel better. So have a little confidence, understand, know that what we teach you works. Absolutely. It will work for you. It will work for anybody if you apply it. And not just here or there. Don't get discouraged if you don't get what you want. Don't get discouraged if you can't find a position right away with a freight brokerage firm. You just haven't contacted enough freight brokerage firms. You just haven't said the right thing. You haven't conveyed what they're looking for. Remember, they want someone who understands what the basics are. They want to feel like you're motivated and self-disciplined. So you got to do and say things that are going to convey that it's going to be worth their time to invest in you. And it's the same type of thing that when you're on the job, you want to do. Just do what we teach you here at Freight Brokers Academy, because it's not complicated. It's really not. It's very simple. Once you get someone to give you a shot, and I know some of you on the session today just recently got hired. You may have just been through your initial orientation. Don't freak out. Stick to the basics. Contact as many trucking companies as you can each and every day. Build a database of those trucking companies that answer yes to the question, the next time I get a good paying load in an area that you typically travel, would you like me to give you a call or send you an email to let you know about it? And develop a huge fleet of trucks that'll be at your disposal when you need them. Not complicated, simple. Another key to success, especially if you're brand new, constantly review and reference back to your Freight Brokers Academy training. It's one thing to go through it once. Reading a segment or listening to a recording or watching a video once is not enough. So let's talk about some of the most important learning tools that you'll want to constantly read or listen to or watch again and again as a new freight agent. Back in Module 3 of Freight Brokers Academy, we talk about the keys to success in freight brokerage. It's an MP3 audio. So even if those of you that are out there driving trucks still, I know we got some people transitioning from the trucking business to the freight brokerage business. You can be listening to audios like this constantly, and you should be regularly. The basics don't change. The keys to success don't change. So in Module 3, you want to download this to your phone or whatever, so you can be listening to it all the time. You're working out of the gym, you should have your headphones on, and you should be listening to this while you're working out. You should be listening to this while you're driving in traffic. Listening to this while you're getting ready to go to sleep at night. Go to sleep to this. So it's indelibly, embedded in your brain. How to contact shippers and carriers, another one. The basics, what you say, who you get to, who do you need to talk to? What do you say when you get there? How do you get to them? The questions to ask. Short, sweet, simple, not complicated. Nothing to fumble through. We even give you the scripts, word for word. Listen to that one over and over. Download these files to your phone, your desktop, your laptop, your tablet, whatever. Listen to them while you're driving, working at the gym, in the morning before you start work, during the break. Again, even if we give you scripts and what to say, there's no substitute for hearing it or seeing it done over and over again. Module 4, how to work smart as a freight agent. That's a video. I think we probably already have an MP3 audio on there as well. So you can watch and listen to this training again, where you're not wasting your time, where you're maximizing your time and efforts. You got to treat your new business like a business, even as a freight agent. You say, oh, I'm not really in business for myself. Well, yes, you are. You have your own little business. If you haven't set up your home office yet, do it now. And make it like an office. If you haven't activated your separate phone line and a separate professional voicemail, do it now. Can't use the same phone number that you're using as your personal phone. Can't have the same voicemail message that you're using for your personal calls. Treat your business like a business. Recruiting carriers. Another MP3 on how to make money building your carrier base. 2 other recordings. You got to re-listen to these recordings over and over. We give you what you need to know to be successful. Constantly refer back to this information. It will work for you. And again, because the bottom line, the more trucks, the more trucking companies you have in this business, the easier the business gets and the stronger your negotiating position when you're talking to shippers. And ultimately, the more money you're going to make. The bigger your fleet of trucks, the better your chances when you do come across a shipper that needs help with a load, you'll be able to match up that load with a truck and make money for yourself and the company you're working for. Module 6, how to get clients begging you to call them. Wouldn't that be nice? Well, you can do it in this business. When I had my trucking business, I relied on one freight broker. One. I used lots of them, lots of freight brokers when I first started in the business, and ultimately, Zach at Coyote Logistics was the one, because I knew he was going to call me every day, typically in the morning. So I got lazy. And I didn't call anybody else. I didn't look for loads until Zach, I talked to him each day and knew that he couldn't help me. And but most of the time he could. So we talk about in this recording here, how to get clients begging you to call them, how to get them relying on you, waiting, expecting for you to call, and happy when they hear from you. So again, this session reveals the secret to how to make this business simple and easy and very profitable. Again, the business is not complicated. It can be simple and easy and very profitable if you follow the things that we teach. Continuing education, take advantage of it. Those of you that are graduates, when you've finished, like many of you are that are on this call, you've got access to a full year of these monthly live trainings. And I'll be honest with you, we don't screen anybody out. I've got people that show up at these monthly sessions, 2, 3, 4 years down the road from occasionally, or I'll get a call or I'll get an email from someone that's already been through our program 2 years later. And they say, hey, I just came across this situation. Big deal. I don't know how to quote it. Can you help me? More than happy to do that. So take advantage of any type of training that you can. Take advantage of all of these monthly sessions and take advantage of me. You guys got my phone number. You got my email. Call, text, send me an email. Happy to help any way I possibly can.